Soliaris. I skipped you. I'm sorry about that. I see it now. Hi, GP. Nice to be here again. What comes after realizing awareness? How do you live life seeing through our separate self if so much of our previous actions and motivations were based around them? Well, your motivations and actions aren't based around that anymore. It goes from trying to get to giving. It goes from attempting to acquire to a love of sharing. Right? It goes from a defensive posture to an expressive posture. It's not. Look, any time. Have you ever been in love? Right. All you want to do is give to your beloved. Right. That's what it's like. It's very simple. It's very simple. You find that when we feel separate, we feel afraid. That's when the withdrawing takes place. That's where the defensiveness is. That's where the selfishness is. That's where hoarding would be. But if that sense is gone, that sense of lack, that sense of fear is gone, what happens? It just completely releases your natural, outgoing, creative, compassionate, loving, heartfelt, altruistic interests. And we've all felt that. We've all felt that feeling when we're really feeling good about things and things are really... There's just this desire, this outward expanding desire that takes place. So the realization of your true being, the true awareness, is not just a moment. Right? Boom, that's it. Ta-da, it's over. I even read several different versions of Buddha's enlightenment, and there was this period of integration. For him, it happened very, 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 very quickly. It was over a month, right? But there was a period of integration, of a reorienting of the life. If you hadn't had some kind of an awakening already, you wouldn't be listening to this program. You wouldn't be listening to Satsang. It would have no appeal to you. The awakened part of you, or I could say the real you awakening, the symptom of awakening, is an interest in this. Having a question like that arise. So you can just put it back to yourself. You have a certain amount of awakening. Well, what comes after? A deepening of that, and an expanding of that, and allowing that awakening to seep into the entire system, eradicating this belief in a material universe, external objects, eradicating the belief of yourself as one of those objects, this form in this universe that's separate from all forms. And noticing that it isn't just a thought. You can actually feel it in the body, right? When something happens and you can feel the body recoiling, that's the body acting out as if it was a separate self. Right? Even though now there's a certain amount of awakening, you know that it isn't. You're conscious of the fact that it isn't. Now you can consciously engage with the energy that still thinks it is. And that's the tantric side of the path. The Vedantic is what discovers the truth. The tantric is what is the embodiment of that truth. It's the living of that. It's going from wisdom to love, right? Wisdom to compassion, from understanding to engagement. You know, from going inward and then going back outward, going up the mountain and then coming back down the mountain again. That's the pattern for it. That's what, and it happens naturally. So the first thing is to recognize that you're already awake. It's nothing you need to attain. It just needs to be deepened and the magnitude of it increasingly discovered. You're simply moving more and more deeply into it, but you've never not been that. It's what you've always been, right? So you can't ever lose it. You can't ever mistake it. So now it becomes this most wonderful opportunity to re-examine every thought, every feeling, going, what is the origin of that thought? Is that thought pointing me back towards what I actually am? the awakened awareness, or is it referring to, is it appearing as an embodiment of that sense of a separate self? And it becomes really clear. Okay, well then it isn't that. I can just turn away. I can just turn away from that. That's what Christ was referring to when he said, a fountain cannot send forth in the same place both sweet water and bitter, which means that if you're tasting that bitter water, it's not the same fountain. The bitter water arises out of the false belief of being a separate self, whereas the perfume of the true self is always peace, happiness, compassion, openness, giving, and that becomes the mission. That's the integration point of just seeing through the layer upon layer of conditioned patterns that have gotten put in place, all based on the false notion of the separate self, and compassionately dissolving them. That's the next step in the path, my friend.